What if I told you that the chains binding you to anxiety, fear, and frustration are self-imposed? What if the Stoic philosophers from thousands of years ago held the key to cutting these chains? In a world dominated by external pressures, it's easy to feel powerless, but true strength comes from within. Today, we're unveiling 11 things you must never let control you if you want to find true inner peace and live like a Stoic. The teachings of Stoicism provide timeless wisdom for navigating life's challenges. The Stoics believe that inner peace comes not from controlling the external world, but from mastering the internal one. In today's chaotic, fast-paced world, it's easy to feel swept away by emotions, expectations, and circumstances beyond our control. But the Stoic path reminds us that peace and resilience are cultivated from within. This is not just philosophy, it's a practical guide to living better. These 11 things may currently dominate your life, keeping you shackled to stress, anxiety, and dissatisfaction. But once you recognize them and apply the Stoic mindset, you'll find that peace was always within reach. So let's dive in. What are these 11 things, and how can you break free from their grip? Number 1. Other people's opinions. You cannot control what others think of you, but you can control how much you let it affect you. Letting others dictate your sense of self-worth is a surefire path to inner turmoil. In today's world, it feels almost impossible to escape the influence of others' opinions. Social media, societal expectations, and even close friends and family can subtly or overtly shape how we see ourselves. But the Stoic mindset reminds us of a vital truth. We are not responsible for other people's perceptions. We cannot change how others view us, but we can change how much we allow their judgments to impact our mental state. When you let others define your self-worth, you become a prisoner to their whims. Their approval becomes a fragile foundation on which you build your identity. One negative comment can send you into a spiral of self-doubt, yet a single compliment can momentarily inflate your confidence. This constant fluctuation is exhausting and undermines your sense of self. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, reminded us, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinions than our own." The Stoic approach to inner peace begins with this essential lesson. You must prioritize your own judgment and values over the fleeting opinions of others. Number 2. Desire for recognition. Craving validation will only leave you chasing shadows. The Stoic understands that inner contentment is far more valuable than fleeting applause. Craving recognition is another trap that keeps us tethered to unhappiness. Whether it's at work, in personal relationships, or through social media, many of us are constantly seeking external validation. We want to be seen, acknowledged, and appreciated. And while it's natural to seek acknowledgement for our efforts, when we let the desire for recognition dominate our actions, we lose sight of the intrinsic value of our work. Stoicism teaches that the pursuit of recognition should never come at the cost of our inner tranquility. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic thinkers, said, "Seek not the recognition of others, but the recognition of yourself." When you do things simply for the sake of applause or approval, you place your happiness in the hands of others. But when you act in accordance with your values and principles, regardless of the recognition you receive, you cultivate an inner satisfaction that cannot be taken away. Remember, applause is temporary. True fulfillment comes from within, from knowing that you lived authentically and with purpose. Number 3, Fear of the unknown. Life is full of uncertainties. Letting fear control you will paralyze your actions. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what is within our control and let go of the rest. The fear of the unknown can be paralyzing. We fear uncertainty because we are hardwired to seek control, predictability, and safety. Yet, life is inherently unpredictable. The Stoics understood this and taught that our power lies not in controlling the future, but in preparing ourselves to face it with grace and resilience. In Stoic philosophy, the concept of amor fati, or love of fate, plays a central role. Instead of fearing the unknown, we are encouraged to embrace it, trusting that whatever happens will be for our growth and benefit. As Marcus Aurelius said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Rather than letting fear dictate your decisions, Stoicism invites you to shift your focus to the present moment and the things you can control: your thoughts, your actions, and your responses. When you learn to accept the unknown and trust in your ability to handle whatever comes, you free yourself from anxiety and step into a space of peace and possibility. Number 4, anger and resentment. Holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to suffer. Stoicism offers us the tools to let go of these destructive emotions. Anger is a powerful emotion. It can surge through us in response to perceived injustice, betrayal, or frustration. While it may feel justified in the moment, the Stoics warn us that unchecked anger only serves to cloud our judgment and disrupt our inner peace. The Stoic philosopher Seneca wrote extensively on the dangers of anger. He described it as a brief madness, an emotion that takes over our reason and makes us act against our better judgment. When we allow anger to control us, we lose control of ourselves. The Stoic path encourages us to pause and reflect before reacting, to separate the event from our emotional response. Resentment, too, is a poison that harms the one who harbors it. By holding on to grudges and replaying past wrongs, we allow those negative experiences to live on within us, continuing to inflict harm long after the initial event has passed. Stoicism offers a solution: let go. Practice forgiveness, not for the sake of the other person, but for your own peace of mind. As Epictetus said, it is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Number 5, material possessions. Chasing material wealth is like trying to fill a bottomless pit. Real fulfillment is not in what you own, but in how you perceive the world. In a world that often equates success with material wealth, it's easy to get caught up in the pursuit of possessions. We believe that if we just acquire more, whether it's money, a bigger house, or the latest gadget, we will finally be happy. But Stoicism challenges this assumption. The Stoics believe that true happiness comes not from external possessions, but from inner contentment. Seneca, a wealthy Roman philosopher, famously warned against the dangers of materialism. He wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." No matter how much we accumulate, there will always be a desire for more. This insatiable craving prevents us from appreciating what we already have and keeps us perpetually dissatisfied. The Stoic way encourages us to practice detachment from material things. This doesn't mean we must renounce all possessions, but rather, we should not allow them to define our happiness or sense of self. When we focus on cultivating inner virtues like wisdom, courage, and self-control, we find a deeper, more lasting sense of fulfillment. Number 6, your past mistakes. The past cannot be changed, and yet, many of us are controlled by our regrets. A true Stoic knows that the only thing we can do is learn and move forward. We all make mistakes. It's an inevitable part of being human, yet so many of us let our past mistakes define our present and dictate our future. We replay our failures in our minds, wishing we could go back and change them. But the Stoics remind us that this is a fruitless endeavor. Epictetus advised, "Do not seek to have events happen as you want them, but instead want them to happen as they do happen, and your life will go well." In other words, accept the past for what it is, unchangeable. The only power we have is how we respond to our mistakes. We can either let them hold us back, or we can learn from them and move forward with greater wisdom. The Stoic approach to past mistakes is one of self-compassion and growth. Instead of dwelling on what cannot be undone, we should focus on what we can do now. Every mistake is an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to become better. Number 7. Social status. The Stoic does not measure their worth by how society views them. True inner peace comes from living according to your principles, not chasing a false sense of superiority. In a world obsessed with status, it's easy to fall into the trap of defining our worth by how we are perceived by others. Whether it's climbing the corporate ladder, gaining followers on social media, or maintaining an image of success, the pursuit of status can become all-consuming. But Stoicism teaches us that this external validation is fleeting and ultimately hollow. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most powerful men in the world as Emperor of Rome, constantly reminded himself that his status meant nothing in the grand scheme of things. He wrote, "What we do now echoes in eternity," emphasizing that our actions and character are far more important than how others perceive us. True Stoic wisdom lies in aligning our lives with our principles, not with societal expectations. When we focus on living with integrity, kindness, and virtue, we free ourselves from the constant need to prove our worth to others. Inner peace comes from knowing that we are living authentically, regardless of how society views us. Number 8. Your ego. Your ego craves dominance, but that is not where true strength lies. The Stoic path is one of humility and self-awareness, not of inflated pride. The ego is a tricky thing. It convinces us that we are more important than others, that we are entitled to certain privileges, and that we are always right. But Stoicism teaches that true strength comes from humility and self-awareness, not from feeding the ego. Epictetus warned against the dangers of ego-driven thinking. He encouraged us to look within and recognize our own flaws, to be aware of our limitations, and to approach life with a sense of humility. When we let our ego control us, we become blinded to our own shortcomings and closed off to growth. The Stoic way is about cultivating inner strength, not through domination or superiority, but through self-mastery. It's about being honest with ourselves, acknowledging our weaknesses, and striving to improve. When we let go of the need to be right, to be the best, or to be admired, we open ourselves up to true personal growth and inner peace. Number 9. Addictions and temptations. Addiction, whether to substances, habits, or even technology, enslaves the mind. Mastery over these urges is essential for a peaceful life. Addictions and temptations are powerful forces that can control our lives if we let them. Whether it's an addiction to substances, food, technology, or even negative thought patterns, these compulsions can dominate our thoughts and actions, keeping us from living in alignment with our values. The Stoics believed in the importance of self-discipline and moderation. Seneca wrote, "To be everywhere is to be nowhere." This reminds us that when we are constantly chasing pleasure or distractions, we lose sight of what truly matters. Addiction, in any form, takes us away from our ability to live mindfully and with purpose. Stoicism teaches us to cultivate self-control, to be mindful of our impulses, and to resist the pull of unhealthy temptations. By doing so, we free ourselves from the chains of addiction and create space for true peace and fulfillment. Number 10. External circumstances. Life is unpredictable, but reacting to every external event will leave you exhausted. Stoicism teaches us to accept what we cannot change and focus on our own responses. One of the core principles of Stoicism is the distinction between what is within our control and what is not. External circumstances, whether it's the behavior of others, the weather, or unexpected life events, are beyond our control. However, our response to these events is entirely within our power. Epictetus famously said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This is the essence of Stoic wisdom. When we focus on controlling our reactions, rather than trying to control the uncontrollable, we free ourselves from unnecessary suffering. By accepting that we cannot control the external world, we shift our energy toward what truly matters: our thoughts, our actions, and our responses. This mindset allows us to navigate life's challenges with grace and resilience, rather than being constantly tossed around by external events. Number 11. Fear of failure. Failure is part of the human experience. Instead of letting the fear of failure control you, embrace it as a learning opportunity. The Stoic way is to grow stronger with each setback. Fear of failure can be crippling. It keeps us from taking risks, pursuing our goals, and stepping outside of our comfort zones. But the Stoics viewed failure not as something to be feared, but as an inevitable and valuable part of the human experience. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What stands in the way becomes the way." This means that obstacles and failures are not barriers to success, but opportunities for growth. Every failure teaches us something valuable, whether it's about ourselves, our abilities, or the path we are on. Instead of letting the fear of failure control you, embrace it. View each setback as a chance to learn and improve. The Stoic way is not about avoiding failure, but about growing stronger and more resilient with each experience. The world will always try to control you through people, situations, and your own desires. But the Stoics understood a profound truth. The only control you truly have is over yourself. Let these 11 things go and discover the inner peace you've been searching for. Remember, the path to freedom starts within. True peace and freedom are not found in external circumstances, but in mastering your own mind. The wisdom of the Stoics offers us a powerful roadmap for living a life of inner tranquility, no matter what challenges we face. By letting go of the things we cannot control and focusing on what we can, we unlock the key to true contentment. The journey towards Stoic wisdom is ongoing, but each step you take brings you closer to the peace and fulfillment you seek. The power to live a life of serenity and resilience lies within you.